Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Bahrain Now. I'm Bara Abdallah, and this season is filled with latest topics and trends happening in the country, which you don't want to miss out. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, art speaks when words are unable to explain. It is a deep and powerful way to understand and express the world around you. And of course, today with us is a young Bahraini female artist and her passion to transform words into beautiful paintings, into various Islamic fonts to highlight the beauty of our Islamic culture. With us tonight is Sausan Al-Shahabi. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm really happy to be here.
It's our pleasure. So, art, calligraphy. It's a bit of both, I would say.
Yeah, I do both, to be honest. Like, I really like to merge two art styles in one piece.
Okay, now, like growing up in Arabic culture, there's like apparently a lot of fonts, a lot of styles.
Yeah.
So, which one did you adopt?
Actually, I do more than one style.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I do a bit of everything. I don't like to stay on one thing.
Okay, that's pretty beautiful actually. So, we're seeing now Surah Al-Fatiha on one painting right here and other calligraphy arts. So, like, how long does it take you to get one piece done?
Like for this one, it took me about a day.
A day.
Yeah, it was a really long day.
A day. I can tell. Look at that, it's beautiful. Like the thing is, it goes like in a full circle and then you start with the first verse in the middle.
Yeah.
So like you have everything mapped in your head first, or you just like put like, how do you start?
Well, actually, I like to pick what surah I want to write first. Like,
Okay.
I want to have a meaning. Why did I choose this one for this calligraphy or something? So I start by sketching the font.
Wow.
Then painting it, then sketching it again, then filling it again. So it's like I can write the font for maybe 2 to 3 times in each painting.
In one day.
In one day.
MashaAllah. Let me just at least tell you how much I appreciate this, because it's just, it looks like a lot of work, honestly. It's beautiful. So now, how long it took you to reach the point that you can actually do it in one day? Like, I'm sure, like, in the first time it like took you like a week or two, but when did you start?
Actually, I started 1 year ago. My handwriting and calligraphy in all kinds of fonts was so bad.
Not worse than mine, believe me.
You would be shocked.
Really?
Really. So I started 1 year ago. When I started, I didn't do long sentences or something. I just started with words and stuff. So it took me about a day as well. So maybe the maximum of days a calligraphy took me was maybe a week.
A week?
Yes.
And that's still an achievement, actually.
Well, it was because the size were bigger. So yeah, that's why
Okay.
it took a week, not a day.
Okay. What was that moment that inspired you to become a calligrapher and an artist? Like, what was that thing like, you know what, I'm gonna make more of this?
Well, actually, I feel like people don't give much credit to Islamic artworks. So, being able to combine our Islamic culture and art pieces that people would love to see, well, this kind of makes people question stuff about our culture, our religion. So maybe they would look more into it. So yeah, that's one of the things that pushed me to do Islamic calligraphies. Also because I really enjoy Quran and holy verses, so why not write calligraphy about these instead of just a bunch of normal words?
That is very beautiful. I mean, most people, maybe their relationship to the verses are mostly like when they read it. but for you to have another relationship, which is actually writing the verses and the surahs, must give you a different kind of relationship and connection to the verse itself.
Yeah, like it makes you search about what this verse actually means. Like choosing what surah or what verse to write on my calligraphies make me search about it more. Like why did I choose this one? I felt a connection with this verse and I want to share it with the world.
That
so yeah.
is beautiful, actually. Like you don't hear this every day, you know. Again, I mean, most people would read these verses and surahs, but they don't take their time maybe to understand it as much. And when you write it, of course, you're gonna get more connected to it, understand what is the meaning behind it. I mean, that's beautiful. Now, have you been inspired by different kind of, I would say, calligraphers and artists around you?
Yeah, I'm really inspired by this Bahraini calligraphy artist. His name is Mohsen Gharib. I grew up seeing his artworks, so he's one of the best calligraphists, and I always would look up to him. Hopefully, I would be that talented one day.
Well, you are pretty much talented right now. I mean, you're gonna take your own path, that's for sure. That's what we're seeing right now. For me, what is interesting is that not only we are seeing Arabic calligraphers, but there are even like foreign people, non-Arabic speakers, who actually are being inspired by the Arabic language and the art behind it and the Islamic arts. Have you seen any foreign non-Arabic calligraphers before?
Well, yeah, there is this Persian calligraphist. Her name is Nubacht. I'm a really big fan of her work. Like, she does amazing fonts. So, yeah, hopefully I will learn or maybe take few classes with her. So, yeah.
You never know. You never know. I used to work for the Japanese embassy before, and one day we were actually blessed to actually meet a Japanese calligrapher who became Muslim, and his name right now is Fuad Honda.
Wow.
It's pretty interesting. Like when he came in, he brings all this calligraphy work all together, and would come and explore it here in Bahrain, and he went around the GCC. So it's very interesting what's happening even around the world, that people are being spread and pretty much affected by the Islamic culture.
Yeah, well, Japanese calligraphy is one of the hardest calligraphies.
Really?
Yeah, so like the style of it, the technique on how you want to do it is one of the hardest. So that's really big for a Japanese calligraphy artist to do Arabic calligraphies and stuff.
He brings it to an Arabic style, I would say. Even the name is pretty interesting, Fuad Honda, right?
Who would thought a Japanese guy would
Right, right. And one day, you never know, you're gonna go international with your work, right?
Hopefully. I'm trying. Like, actually, I am trying to do English calligraphy as well. So to try to show the world, maybe a foreign guy would see my English calligraphies and stuff, and he would be interested. He would read it. He would understand what it says.
Okay.
And this would make him go see my other work. Maybe he would see my Islamic art calligraphies. Then he would ask questions. He would want to know more about our culture and why I wrote it, what's the meaning behind it. So yeah.
That is beautiful. Now, beside Islamic and Arabic calligraphy, have you got interested maybe in other calligraphies, like you said, the Japanese, Chinese, Spanish?
Well, I'm trying to learn English calligraphy.
Ooh.
Like, there are a lot of fonts in English calligraphy and not a lot of people know about. So like in Arabic, maybe some know the words like Kufi, Tashkili. These are some names of the Arabic calligraphy, but there are a lot of different fonts in English that I don't think a lot of people even seen before. So yeah.
I think for me, the most attractive English font is the one you would see in Lord of the Rings, with the books and stuff like that. I'm not sure even it's English, maybe it's Latin.
Well, I don't know what it is exactly, but I can see the picture in my head. Like, I know what you're talking about.
Well, that is a beautiful world, and it takes a lot of time and effort actually to reach to your level. You said 1 year?
Yeah. Like, if I write down something, you would see how bad my handwriting is.
I think I'm worse than mine, believe me. Mine is pretty bad. That's why I give up on writing and just typing now.
Well, that's good, because I don't write as much. Like I only write good fonts for my calligraphy artwork. Like if I write down something fast or anything, you would be shocked. How did this person write this right now?
Subhanallah, right? Well, any last words to your viewers?
Well, I would tell them to find a passion of theirs and not care if it takes too long or if it's too hard. Like I was the worst in Arabic calligraphy, and now I'm known as a calligraphy artist. And this took me a year, and who would have thought I would come this far? So don't think it's too hard. Take your time and just go for it.
That is absolutely beautiful. And for me, maybe it will take 10 years, maybe another lifetime, not sure.
Start, it's okay.
You think so? Do you give lessons, classes in calligraphy?
Hopefully in the future.
You should start. Well, thank you so much, Sausan. It was such an inspirational talk and a beautiful, beautiful talent you got there.
Thank you.
Follow your passion and take your time till you reach what you love the most. Thank you so much for being with us right here, and stay tuned for more coming up on Bahrain Now. And ladies and gentlemen, we continue with the topic of art, which is the expression of human creative skill and imagination in various forms. And now we have Marwa Ahmed, who is a thread architect. Well, good evening. Tell us more about it.
Good evening to you. Well, Thread Architect is a Bahraini handmade brand, a collage of a lot of passions. It's all about hand embroidery, bead art, photography, architecture, Bahraini culture, and nature.
That is a lot in one place. It's like a one-stop shop right there. It's beautiful. So, culture, and you got, what's that word again?
Architecture.
Architecture, of course, and all of that. By what architecture? I mean, maybe for a person who is like myself, will see just the word art. So where does the architecture part steps in?
Well, starting from it was a very old passion before I was 10 actually.
Okay.
It started when I was looking at my sister stitching with her friend at school. We have a lot in common, me and my sis, and she just inspired me. I saw that technique of the thread going inside the fabric itself, and it really mesmerized me to create stuff. I couldn't practice it until I was 10 in those classes that we have at school, those home education classes.
10 years.
Yes, I was 10 back then. I did only one stitch.
Wow, that's a good start. You know, it always starts with a stitch, right?
Yes. I couldn't finish the rest, and there was an assignment of almost 9 stitches to be done. I didn't do it. I did only one, and I used the help of my friend's mom to do that. It made me feel guilty until today. Well, of course, I know nothing about her. It was ages ago, and I'd really like to thank her for that help.
Well, yeah.
I promised myself one day will come and I will learn this back. Years were passing. Different students are interested in mathematics, science, but I found peace in home education as well as art classes. They used to teach us a lot, such as crafting, watercoloring, sewing, stitching, all of these. But the exact fundamentals started in high school. I met an amazing teacher. Her name is Khulud Abdel Ghaffar. She established the fundamentals and basics of those stitches that I couldn't do back then when I was younger. And she even taught me how to upcycle things. Taking that as a craft, and I knew that that gift would mean something to me. But then university came, and of course architecture is a hard field. It's not something that you can go and shift your target into something else. Creating a future, creating a career. So I went for that and studied fully. I was far away from this thread and needle thing. Graduated and worked as an architect for 4 years in an office.
4 years. Yeah, that's a good period.
It was hectic and there was pressure. Real architecture is different than university architecture.
I can only imagine.
Yes, things were all real, a lot of toughness, a lot of rules, regulations. So I needed some break away from all of this toxicity. Then I'm back again in 2015 with the first piece ever made, this one.
Wow.
I
wow.
did it from my sister's inspiration. She was planting something at home and I was like, why not transfer this real thing, illustrate it
Right.
as in thread and beads. On and off in that hobby, years passing, 2018 I decided to upgrade myself as an architect. Go on for my studies a little bit.
Okay.
Took some professional certificates such as leadership in energy and environmental design,
Oh, wow. That is a big, huge
As well
leap and
as-
step.
as well as the other two modeling, 3D modeling Autodesk certificates.
AutoCAD?
Yes, not
There you go.
AutoCAD, it's Revit and
Okay.
Fusion 360.
Wow, these are like very, I wouldn't say tough, but they need time to learn.
I didn't imagine that Allah had completely another plan for me.
Mm,
I was blessed with 2 children who were born prematurely,
beautiful.
and I've suffered from PPD and PSTD.
Mm,
It wasn't easy to go back to my normal life,
right.
not to mention that they needed my help and care a lot. There were lots of appointments and commitments to them, and they suffered a lot as well. So I decided to remove all of that stress, remove all of what happened,
Mm,
to overcome myself. Thread and needles were my only way out to relieve such stress,
mm.
relieve that being a new mother stress. So gradually I'm back to that hobby until I discovered that thread art is not just an art to be kept on a stand or on clothes.
Right.
It's something that touches the soul more than just something to be used daily. And architecture was more than a lifestyle to me than a field that I practiced. It taught me a lot, it changed my preference in a lot of things. So there, thread architect was a combination of the most 2 things that I was passionate about,
Right.
and there it was born.
Wow, that's quite a story, if I may say the least about it. I mean, that's like, whew, you took us like up, went emotional, and that was very interesting. And thank you so much. Actually, I really appreciate the fact you were open and honest about it. So now, you consider this not as a way of expressing yourself or even the culture, but it's your own medicine.
Yes.
That is beautiful. I still remember the fact that you want to pursue your studies in Japan.
Yes.
That was like 10 years ago, 2008.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, like, you went for the examination, you studied Japanese, you went all of that, but then
Nothing.
there's a different path for you, huh?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel so relieved. It didn't happen for a reason, definitely, and for a wisdom from Allah.
Okay.
Maybe I wasn't ready for this yet. Maybe I
Right.
would go back one day and I'll pursue my dream again.
Okay, definitely. Let's talk about your art right now for a second here. Now, thread architect. I mean, to me, when I heard that the first time I heard the name, I'm like, sounds like a new genre that I've never tapped into before, a new world, a new realm that I've never explored before. And I get to see this, that's a beautiful brand. So, how long does it take you to get one of these done? And what would inspire you to go all the way to the end? Because apparently there's a story behind every piece here, especially that one over there. That's just beauty right there. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, each piece, it depends on the size, of course, and the details and materials as a technical way to speak it out.
Okay.
But as conceptual wise, I'm always inspired. Well, the other first 2 there were frames of my own wedding theme.
Mm.
So I designed the whole theme earlier in 2017 and thought, why not establish that also illustrated in threads and beads. So they were there. Others were inspired by nature, like these two pieces here.
Okay.
One of them is peony. It was a connection between me and my sister. She was far away in US. She drew that in watercolor, and I thought, why not connect with her when she's far away with threads and beads? And then I gave it as a gift for her.
Whoa, that's pretty deep.
Yeah. As for that one,
Yes, please.
that one was 2020, COVID
Okay.
result. It started where my mother-in-law, she introduced me into beads.
Okay.
I knew beads earlier. It was a way to create accessories, but not bead embroidery. So it was a new technique. I thought of creating something very gentle. There was an ombre and inspired by a true crab. It's a Caribbean crab, full of colors.
Because he doesn't look Bahraini at all.
Yes,
Because
yes.
we ate Bahraini crab. So this is not like, this is different.
So we had the COVID positive, of course, on me, and I could not have anything to do at home. And being separated by one of my sons, he was not infected,
Mm.
and the loss of my father-in-law, something told me that, go on, Marwa, just continue. You will get somewhere. I know you will. You will reach something. This is not something normal. It should be shown someday.
Okay. Okay. So there is a story behind each art and piece,
Yes.
and they have different techniques.
Yes.
So I would say right now it is not like a one path. Each piece, each art has a different way you would approach it, whether it's a story or the technique or the style or even the material and everything all together. This is crazy. This is amazing. Because guys, like, for example, certain arts, martial arts, or different arts, singing and all that, there's a certain way you would do things, even like when it comes to editing and videography. But now with this kind of, let's say, art or path in artistry, everything you've made, every piece has a different approach altogether, like a different world.
Yes.
Wow.
It's the same way we treat buildings. It's the same way we treat this kind of.
I've never heard that before. You should copyright that. I've never heard that before. It's amazing how you manage to bring your architectural world to art. That's amazing. So with that being said, any last words?
To each and every mother who couldn't go back to her life that she wished for, never fear to one day reach your own passion, even when you are staying at home with your kids, looking after them and approaching your dreams. And to each and every mother who has kids, these little angels do teach us a lot and inspire us a lot. Feel free with that time to discover their little passions that will help them stabilize their lives once they grow up. And I would like to thank every single person who had supported me verbally, financially, or even emotionally in this whole journey.
Very inspirational, very deep, very much of an eye-opening kind of like talk, I would say. Thank you so much for being with us here on Bahrain Now. Really appreciate your efforts and keep going. We're going to support you all the way.
You're most welcome. I'm truly honored to be here.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Well, these were the powerful words of Marwa Ahmed that I can't repeat, to be honest with you, or even retweet. They were that authentic. So thank you so much and stay tuned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of tonight's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Featuring our inspiring guests, don't forget to reach out to our social media networks shown below. For the time being, thank you so much. I'm Bara Abdallah. Goodbye and God bless.